Yo, what is going on, guys? This is Jacked YGO here today. So today we're coming at you with my first place 5-0 undefeated OTS Locals DDD Oblivion Wave King Caesar High Abyss King of the Ragnarok deck profile. So long story short, it's been a little bit. I know you guys have not seen me do one of these for like a year and a half, 2 years. Truth is, guys, I still play, right? I play once a week still with my brother. It's kind of a ritual for me. I still go to my Tuesday nights. As a lot of you are probably aware, I am a real estate agent right now. It's been very good for me. That's my true passion is definitely sales. It's been very well for me. And my focus has definitely been there, right? But it also doesn't take away from the fact that this deck, DDD, has kind of been washed out of the waters because it's literally been 3 years since our support's been announced, right? So the deck definitely is in need of a refresh. However, I decided to just kind of pick it up. It's been a year and a half, I think, since I've actually piloted the deck. I put it together, put some cards in, and it actually performs, which I was pretty surprised. So yeah, it honestly felt real good to play the deck again, and I wanted to make this video to kind of, it gave me a good excuse to kind of put up a video again, really give my insight, as probably a lot of you guys are looking for that right now. Where I see the deck moving forward, of course, we got new support, so I'm happy to touch on that a little bit. We'll get into that later in the video, but for now, we are going to go into the deck profile, right? So, yeah, again, like I said, it went 5-0 undefeated. There's not much for me to say about that until I really just dive into the deck list, right? So it's good to see everyone again. I hope you guys are excited for this one, as am I. I'm happy to go over some of the ratios and how I kind of configured the deck for the current format. Now, keep in mind, one thing to note, this deck was just before, this is a tournament the week of Crossover Breakers, but our tournaments are on a Tuesday, so Crossover Breakers did not come out yet. So this deck list is going to be a little bit different when you do play Crossover Breakers. I mean, certain cards against Rizio, it's a bit of a different format. It's got to shape up a little bit. So for now, just keep in mind this was pre-Crossover Breakers. It still performed really well, and I still think the deck can do relatively decent. Now, this is from a rogue standpoint. Don't go taking this to regionals. I don't think the deck would perform super well at a regional level, but from a locals perspective, you can definitely top, because if you do have a skill set with the deck and you know how to play it, you know which cards to optimize within the deck, like how to build the list really, you can definitely take a locals and top with it, right? But from a more competitive standpoint, I don't really think it has the speed or the capacity to really play against some of these other decks right now. But again, it can also do so at the same time if you draw good, and keep in mind we did lose Baron, right? So that kind of sucks. So last time you did see me playing this deck, Baron was a thing, and it's not a thing anymore, but that's okay, because we're going to go over some of the new lines that I'm using towards replacing Baron, and some of the new combo lines that I used because I cut some cards, just so you guys can kind of get an idea of how I really revamped this deck, or some of the lines per se, to be more compatible towards the meta game, so that way we have a better follow-up and have a bit more consistent access throughout the deck and some of our hand trap ratios. So without further ado, I know it's been a long time, but for the first time in about 2 years, let's get right into it. We'll see how my deck met. Okay guys, so let's break it down a little bit. What is this, you're wondering? It is a ultimate rare. So I won the tournament, and I also won the tournament because I pulled the ultimate rare. So I actually had no clue this was an ultimate rare. You can see how much I've been keeping up with some of the lists and stuff, but yeah, it was kind of cool because a lot of people were pulling some of the other ultis, and all of a sudden I pulled this. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. So yeah, this was basically some of the prize stuff I got from the locals, but yeah, so we'll get right into it. Side deck here, and again, I'll touch on each when I get to it. You know what, this can just get out because you guys obviously want to see the OG mat, right? So do I. So yeah, I'll go over a little bit slower because it's been a while since I posted a list, and some people might be viewing this news, so I'll be my old descriptive self, as that's just kind of who I am. So starting off with the main starter, right? Triple Kepler. So of course, like, Kepler is your searcher, right? But outside of it being your searcher, it does come up a lot where you're actually going to bounce one of your scales back to hand. I understand that with some of the new support we're coming up, that's not going to be as common, right? Because we have DD Scale Surveyor. I think that's the name of the card. But for now, this card's bounce effect on the follow-up, super good to get one of your cards out of scale. I actually use that quite a bit during the tournament. But yeah, this is your main starter, right, of the deck for the most part. So next 3 of triple DD Savin Copernicus. So obviously this doesn't move. It's still a 3 of. This is your Foolish Burial, right? Foolish is any card in your deck once per turn. And then the scale effect, it doesn't really come up, but it's a scale 1 if you ever need to put it as a filler. But this is the Foolish Burial, of course. Let's go in triple DD Griffin, right? Griffin is the best card by far in the deck. Like, it is, this card's excellent. So yeah, you can normal summon it if you really want to, but really your special, if you have a DD, you special summon it. If it gets revived back from the graveyard, you add a DD card. When it's special from a Pendulum summon, you can ditch for cost and draw. And then while it's in the scale, while you have a Dark Contract Engraver field, you can destroy it, right? So yeah, very, very good cards. Easily the best card in the deck, and will be moving forward as well. For the last 3 of DD Swirl Slime. I believe this card will be a 3 of into the new format as well. Like once we get the new support. But again, for now, this card being at 3 is really solid. It still allows you to access your 3-card combos, your fusion plays. That's always going to give you some better ways to play through A, hand traps, and B, breaking a board, right? So this card I don't think will ever go down from a 3 of, but it could because we have other ways to search moving forward. But again, for the future ahead and for current times, that is definitely common thing. Sorry, I'm just gonna get rid of, there's a hair there. So yeah, so the 3 ofs, right? These are your 3 ofs. These are like non-negotiable 3 ofs, right? And I don't think you would play anything at really any higher counts, but yeah. Those are your 3 ofs. So we'll get rid of these here. So 12 3 ofs, or sorry, 12 copies when we're looking at the 3 ofs in total. Take up deck space. It's a 43 card list. I forgot to mention that. This is a 43 card list, and I'll show you how I got around doing that. So for the 1-ofs that aren't Pendulums, DD Lamiya and DD Necroslime. Now, you guys are all aware, like if you watch my deck profiles over the years, I was always playing Typhon. I chose to cut it this time because I felt it wasn't necessary. And for the boards you can put up, I mean, Typhon really isn't. It's honestly just taking up space. It's an additional brick, and we need to find more ways to get non-engine in the deck, right? So I cut DD Vice Typhon so I could just play these 2. These 2 are pretty mandatory. Lamiya could technically go. Like, I mean, I never had a time where Lamiya was actually necessary. This card actually, in my opinion, could probably go, depending on what you're playing in your extra deck, and you could just play another hand trap or another piece of non-engine. I think moving into the new support, this card could definitely go because you have enough extenders. But this card's obviously a mandatory 1-of. So in my tournament, I don't think Lamiya ever once came up. It was kind of just random foolish fodder, but yeah, Lamiya I think could get cut moving forward, and then Necroslime obviously will always be staying because it's a graveyard fusion. But yeah, unless you're playing D-Arc, which spoiler alert, I'm actually not playing D-Arc, this card could probably get cut, no problem. So, but yeah, I cut Typhon because I needed more space, and it's definitely a unnecessary extender. But the thought process behind cutting Typhon as well was that in a format where there's a lot of hand traps, and ever since this deck's been released with the new support, it always has been a hand trap heavy format. But I think with nowadays, especially with some of the engines decks will put up, the Typhon's really not going to come up. It's just going to be a brick more than an extender, if anything. So the board you can put out without it's also powerful enough too, right? So for your 1-ofs on scales, it's going to go, you got 5. Okay, so this should be like this. Maybe I can just organize it like this. Yeah, so, okay. So as you're seeing, so I am playing the Rage package, right? In this format, it's definitely necessary to play the Rage package. This actually came up a lot during the tournament, like where I actually need to level modulate, and it wasn't even like just the 1-card Kepler. It was there's some combos where I had some weird awkward hands, but this was able to modulate certain cards into a level 4. There's one hand that I was actually able to modulate a Genghis into a level 4, which is kind of interesting, but yeah, it definitely comes up. So. And then let me see. So the Rage, yeah, if you guys watch a lot of my deck profiles, you would be aware that I don't always play this package, but again, in this format, it's definitely necessary because we don't have Baron anymore. So I used to play 2 Orthros, right? And now I just play the 1 because Baron's not a thing. So your synchro lines aren't really as viable as they were before. So Orthros is definitely a 1 of at this time. Before I used to play 2 of this, and then I'd usually cut these because I would just go for the... I wanted to insulate my plays around Nibiru when it was definitely popular in the main deck, because I would go Small World, grab the missing piece so I could search Orthros, or just search Orthros as well. And like literally 8 out of 10, I had lists where like 7 to 8 out of 10 hands would actually be able to make a Baron line before getting to 5 summons. So yeah, this was usually a 2 of, and then I just cut these. But now that Baron's gone, these are honestly a mandatory to play. And then again, when we get the new support, I'll talk about the new support in a little bit here, but these 2 can definitely go. And yeah, Thomas and Ragnarok, again, these are great cards. You got to play them. Ragnarok, a lot of the time, is where I would be bouncing. There was quite a few games where I'll show you guys the combos I really look to accomplish now that I've cut the other extenders. But basically, I would, a lot of the time on the follow-up, I would summon Kepler, bounce the Ragnarok, and then find a way to summon the Ragnarok and then just push for game. Really powerful when you can do that. But yeah, that was Ragnarok's really good utility for sure. Yeah, not much to explain there. If I can put this back. So yeah, but those are your 1-ofs, right? Anything else I'm missing that I used to play? No, I don't think so. Basically, like, this is now a 1-of, and then I'm not playing the Typhon to help free up some space. And then, if, like I mentioned, you could probably just cut Lamia, because for me, I never seen a line where Lamia comes up. At the same time, though, if you just open Gate, you have to play Lamia. But at the same time, I never ran into that issue where I needed Lamia. So really up to you. But yeah, I think when we get the new support, Lamia doesn't need to be played. But again, I haven't tested with the new support either. So that's it for the DD monsters. I believe it's, so we got 12, and then we also have the, yeah, so there's 19 DD, sorry, not 19 DD monsters. There is 5, 12, yeah, there is 19 DD monsters, sorry. Yeah, so 19 total count for DD monsters, which is great. Gives me odds to draw 2 pretty frequently, 2 to 3. So going on to the spells. So we're going 3 Dark Contract with the Gate. This is your starter, of course. And then this is all I'm playing for the DD, the Dark Contract cards. So Dark Contract with the Gate, pretty standard, right? It's your search piece. You can't negotiate with it. This is card summon. This is how you get Caesar on board, right? How you naturally get Caesar on board. We're not playing the Fiendsmith stuff, okay? And then Patent License is, I use this card's lock ability a couple times in the tournament, but a lot of the time I was just using this to recycle. But there was twice where I put it up to help further lock my opponent's, insulate my board, right? So yeah, the lock effect's pretty good. It's just, again, this will be a card that also gets cut when we get the new support, so yeah. For the last DD card, DD Headhunt, I mean, this card is insane. I'm always going to go for this over making like a synchro play or like an extended body, like an extended boss monster. I'm always going to go for this over like a negation on board. Even if it puts me at risk of having my board blown up, I'm still going to, like a evenly stuff like that, I'm still going to prefer to go for this because this card is so powerful. Even like in this format, it's so powerful. And I'll show you why this card is so, because some of the cards that we have access to now paired with this card, like, can just, there's a lot of times where I didn't have to play into talents because it's, if you time them correctly, it's insane. But we'll go over that in a little bit when I get to my non-engine. Yeah, so funny enough, I am playing Piri Ray map and 1-for-1. So yes, I did go 5-0 playing Piri Ray. Some people were like, why aren't you playing, oh God, what's it called? What's the card called? Nightmare Throne. Why aren't you playing Nightmare Throne? Well, here's the deal. Keep in mind, I haven't played this deck in a year and a half, at least a year and a half. And I also haven't played Yubel, so I don't have Nightmare Throne. I just kind of picked this up last minute. This card honestly worked perfectly fine for me over Nightmare Throne. I had no issues playing it. But if you have Nightmare Throne, you probably would rather play it over this because there's no restrictions, right? 1-for-1, I actually never drew it, but I tried because it's the Ultra Rare one. I technically should be drawing it more, but Yeah, and then Piri Ray map is, again, you can cut this for Nightmare Throne if you have it. I just play Piri Ray map because I don't have it. Or you could play Nightmare Throne and Piri Ray, but I feel like the consistency is just fine, so you don't have to play it. In the new support, this stuff will go. You can play, you'd have to play Nightmare Throne over this anyways, so yeah. So yeah, that's for your consistency pieces. So technically for 1-card combos, you have these, and then you also have, oh, I just showed everyone my side deck pretty well. You also have these. So you have 7 ways to get to a 1-card combo and a 43-card engine. That's pretty well every single game you'll get to it. And of course, there's some where you're not going to, which is unfortunate. But in theory, you'll get to it every single turn, right? So let's go into the non-engine here. So I'm playing 14 non-engine. If you cut Lammy, you could get 15 going in a 43-card list. But like I said, if you do get to the point where you do have the 1-card combo with or sorry, you have 10 1-card combos, right? But I never had to go into the 1-card combo where I just go into gate search. Yeah, the one nice thing too is that since a lot of people haven't played against this deck in a while, I was getting Ashen Imperm on this a fair amount of times. So it was not like a whole lot of times because a lot of people who played against me have played against, know the deck because I played with it so much before. But there was times where this was actually getting Ashen Imperm, which is kind of nice. And even this would too. There's someone Imperm this, and then I just special this from hand and just went off. Yeah, it was pretty nice. But anyways, guys, so yeah, I was able to make 14 non-engine, and we'll go over in a bit. So from most impactful to least impactful, I'll start doing that. I would say, we'll say this. So this card right here, so I'll actually just stop on this. So you know what, actually I'll put from the top to the bottom, most impactful to least impactful in the tournament. 2, 3. So from top to bottom is most impactful to least impactful. Yeah, Nibiru, it actually really never came up for me, but I'll get into it in a bit. So Impulse by far, so we'll get into it one by one, right? So Impulse by far like carried my deck like big time. This card was huge support for our deck. This card's insane. So I was playing Mermail. The last deck I was piloting was Mermail. I still am. I think it's a really good deck option right now and moving forward. But that's why I picked this card up. And then I decided, you know, in this deck, we don't play any, even in our extra deck, it's only dark, water, and fire. And our main deck is just dark cards. And then, of course, you have Nib, but I mean, is what it is. And then Droll, you're using it right off the bat. So it's really not that bad. So, so Impulse though like was carrying my deck big time. Like I mean this card, if you use this at a right time, oh my god, like it's crazy how good this card is. Like this card mixed with DD Headhunt was insane. Like if I had my 2 boss monsters, so usually the Caesar and the Machine X, if I had that with a Headhunt and an Impulse, it was every time it was game over because that like these 2 cards together. There was twice where I didn't even have to, where I knew my opponent, I could tell my opponent had a Talents or a Thrust, and I wouldn't even use a Monster Effect because these 2 were able to control the board so well. Like, this card is insanely powerful, but this mixed with Headhunt, it's such a hard time for a lot of decks to get through. Like, most decks cannot push through this. Now, keep in mind, Ryzeal's a thing, and I don't think this card does much against Ryzeal. I'm pretty sure it does a decent amount against Malice. Again, I don't know the decks too well, but these 2 cards were like easily carrying me through. Like these were the MVPs by far. Like I said, there was at least twice where I knew my opponent had a Thrust or a Talent, so I didn't even use my monster effects because I would just hold off on these. It's kind of crazy knowing that you can control the board with just these and then have your 2 boss monsters, which are already crazy enough anyways. So yeah, so by far Impulse was the best hand trap for sure. Like it's a huge buff to our deck that I don't think a lot of people realize, but yeah, it's a huge, basically the whole deck is budget because I'm not playing the Fiendsmith, but if you guys want to, I bought this card when it was like 50 bucks. I got lucky. I just didn't know it was going to be really expensive because I ordered it with my Mermail deck. But this card, guys, like, oh my god, if you want to play DDs in this format, you have to play this card. It's the only card you're going to have to really put money towards, and maybe Nightmare Throne if it's still expensive. I don't know how much it is anymore, but this card is absolutely mandatory in this deck. It was so good at locals. It was crazy. That and Headhunt were just controlling the game for the most part. Next would be Droll. So this card was super good, especially at a locals level. This was really helping me control the game state. So, because again, being a deck that hasn't had support in the last 3 years, I really need to find ways to kind of control the game state through slowing other decks down, right? Now, as you've seen, I don't have the Molcharmies. I actually don't own any of them. You could play Perulia, and I'll get over to the card you could replace for Perulias, but you probably don't need the other one in your deck, which is the Max C one. I forget what it is, but at least Perulia would be a pretty nice buff. But this and Droll were like by far like crazy. Like this card was definitely slowing a lot of decks down, where they would kind of put up a mediocre board and I could actually play through it, which was nice. So yeah, and then if you were going, if I was going first, and I built a board, having this card was really strong too. So yeah, Droll was definitely a very good way to help. So these six cards were really good ways to slow decks down when I know my deck has been nerfed over time, right? So triple imperm. Not much to say about it. This card's still really good now because you can just hold it for the Rizio cards. But yep, this card, I don't have much explaining to do. It was good. It was solid having two. The one thing a lot of people might be like, oh, like what if you draw this because we take up our scales, right? Most of the time, I would have two slots because I would have one scale taken up, the contract, and then I would have a face down, and then I would just put double imperm face down. So yeah, I had that actually twice where I put two imperms face down. Double imperm's like extremely solid, right? Especially in this format. Ash, not much to say about it. So this is also this card as well as Droll. Well, so this will also stop Perulias, right? So I got a Molcharmy, not Perulia. What's the other one? The wind one. I got Fualos. So someone Fualos me twice, and both times I had an Ash, and then I had a Droll as well. So the Droll was really nice because our deck really, if you have a hand that can play through Droll, because most of the time, by the time you actually need to stop them from drawing a bunch of cards, you can set up so you don't need to add more cards, right? So in your DD deck, because DDs can play just fine through it. Droll stopped, and then Ash also stopped it as well, which is nice. So they did get a draw off it, but it was totally okay. I managed to, it was for the match actually when I used a Droll. So yeah, so anyways, the last two would be Nib. So Nib, honestly, Nib didn't do much, but in theory it's really good. And even now it's like really good. You can drop this and a lot of decks don't have answers to it. Even our own deck doesn't have many answers to it, but it's only going to be bad against the Fiendsmith engine. So I played against the Fiendsmith engine twice out of those 5 rounds. And truth is, this really never came up. I nibbed someone once and that was it. Like, I mean, maybe it was because I was playing it at 2, but I rarely actually seen this card. Like I said, it didn't do a lot of impact. So you could probably cut the nibs, or depending on like where you think, like, because I don't know if Droll's going to be like the best card into the next format. It might, right? Because I think into Rizio it's really good. I think it's still going to be a really good card to play in the next format, but yeah, you definitely want to find, if you have the Molcharmy cards, like just play 3 of the Molcharmy card and maybe play like 2 Droll instead. You could do that. So like 3 of the Molcharmy Perulia and then 2 Droll is probably more than enough. So yeah, so I would just probably in the future just cut this. Or if Nib's actually going to be good into the next format, which we have the YCS coming up, we'll kind of really figure that out. This can stay in, and then you can kind of figure out a way to, again, these are all really good hand traps, right? But you could also figure out a way to put the Perulias in, because getting additional draws in DDD is always a good thing, right? So you have more engines and ways to play around boards as well. So that's 43 cards, guys. Let's go into the extra deck here. So I'm gonna put this here probably. So extra deck for the links. So triple Gilgamesh, right? Pretty straightforward. Pretty sure my old deck profiles, I used to just go through the fusions first, but it is what it is. Yeah, you can't play this at 2. You can't play this at 4. So yeah, we play this at 3. It's the best card in the deck, right, by far. There's an interesting play where when I knew my opponent had Thrust in his hand. Like I could tell by the way he was playing he had Thrust. It was against Lightsworn, the Fiendsmith Lightsworn 60 card pile with the grass, like the new Lightsworn basically. He summoned his Fiendsmith card after I stopped a bunch of his cards, and he swung at Gilgamesh, and I knew he had Thrust because he was going to see if he could trigger Gilgamesh to use it. So basically, he destroyed Gilgamesh. I used Gilgamesh to summon back Siegfried, and then he used Thrust, and then I just negated the card he added off Thrust. So yeah. So it's pretty good because then I get an additional body that recurs on the next turn, right? So Yeah, this card's pretty good, especially there is actually 3 times where someone swung into Gilgamesh, so it's nice when a lot of people don't really know what the card does right now, but that was the most memorable time is where someone swung at it, and then I knew they had thrust, so I summoned Siegfried from my extra deck. Yeah, that destruction effect's pretty crazy. For the rituals, oh my god, for the fusions, double Genghis, 1 High King Genghis. Not much to say with these, right? But these two effectively make your High King the way it should be made, right? So let's take some pride in that. These are all everything in my deck is original rarity. This is from the first set, first edition. These are from the tins, so kind of kept that in sequence. So only synchro I'm playing is Siegfried. Kind of sad because last time I did this, there was Baron was a thing, right? But no more Baron. So what do you do? Okay, so Siegfried, again, Siegfried was really good. We'll get into some combo lines later on, but yeah. So for XYZs, King Tell, Caesar, Big Caesar, just one of, right? This card was super good. I was always ending on this, unless I could only do the 1 card combo, but I was always finding a way to get on this over the Siegfried for sure. Double Machine X, right? This is it for the DD cards, so not much to say with this. Yeah, I'll get into some of the new lines with some of the stuff anyways, but yeah, these are, I feel like these ratios are going to be the same when we get the new support. Again, I have not play tested with it, but yeah, we'll talk about the new support. I don't want to spend too much time talking about that right now. For the non-engine, so 1 Chaos Angel, 1 Typhon, and 1 Zeus. I never actually went into Typhon. For me, there was just never really any point where I need to go into this. Plus, this card, it's good to like out some boards and to hold steady, but this is kind of like a one last resort where you should have it in your deck as a Dark Fiend. At the same time, though, it also turns off some of your like your important cards, right? Like your Machine X, right? It's not always great, right? So Chaos Angel, so I never went into Chaos Angel. The point behind it, you can see I have Druid's Worm, right? Like the point behind it is to just kind of replace the need of Baron, like go into that. It obviously doesn't replace the need for Baron, but having that additional synchro line. In reality, the SP would be better for this because SP is not really taking up your space, because when you go second with SP, you can get rid of 2 cards effectively, right? Because especially if you go Druid's Worm, you can just go like Druid's Worm, link it off, Druid's Worm effect, SP effect, and then you can also tag out, so you're basically removing 3 cards, which is nice as opposed to 2, because Chaos Angel in this deck's really only protecting you from battle, right? Which can be good, right? Against Caesar and stuff, that can be excellent sometimes, but again, I just felt like playing this because I wanted to synchro in my deck, to be quite honest. I just couldn't relate. I just couldn't come to terms with not having a synchro in my extra deck, but the better option would be SP, right? So yeah. Typhon, like I said, it's you need it, but it never came up for me. This card did come up for me. Zeus is incredible right now. There was a whole I didn't know if I had a way, like I played against a Thunder Dragon player, had a great Thunder Dragon Bestial, which is obviously a terrible matchup for me. He had a whole board set up, like with the Bestial Dispatter, everything. I simply just, and he even had the card, what is it? He had the Hope Harbinger, so basically baited the attack with Gilgamesh, so it got destroyed. Main phase 2, summoned a Zeus, cleared board, and then by Zeus clearing board, I sent the card to grab me the contract, started making a board from there, and then I beat him on the bounce back, so yeah. So Zeus is really good. I actually went into this 3 times, 3 or 4 times. It was at least 3 times I went into this, and it was very, very good for me. But yeah, going into the next format, Zeus is going to be really good. So nice to see Zeus is good again, right? So yeah, so that's it for the extra deck. 15 cards, of course. So let's go into the side deck. The side deck's a little bit shoddy, but is what it is. You can tailor this for whatever you want to do. So 1 Magnemite, 1 Baldrake, 1 Druid's Worm. Truthfully, you probably could just go 3 Druid's Worm. I just didn't want to look for 2 other copies of Druid's Worm, so I just put these in because they're already in my other decks from before. I was playing Light Swarm for a little bit, so yeah. So Druid's Worm, basically, it's kind of broken in this deck because you can just go like Druid's Worm, and then if you're playing SP instead of Chaos Angel, you effectively clear 3 cards, right? Which is the same for any deck, right? But it helps this deck go in second because if you have the Swirl Slime combo, you can kind of just go off by you can like normal summon, add, and then do all your fusion plays after, because then you can link these 2 off and then effectively clear 3 cards. So that's a really good start to your board, right? So yeah, but anyways, again, it should have been SP, but I just didn't want to give up the fact of playing a synchro, an additional synchro in my extra deck. I just miss Baron. All right, that's the problem. So yeah, like I said, you could just play 3 Druid Swarm, or if you just want to play Magma, because if you draw these, it's a lot easier. But yeah, 3 Druid Swarm will probably just do you the trick anyways. 3 Phantasme, because I don't own the Mulch Army cards. I probably will. You know, like I said, for me, I'm just not buying a lot of cards right now. I'm, again, real estate business. I have a few hires, and I also just bought another house. So that's another thing for me. So I'm not putting a lot of money into the game right now. But again, if I were to play at a higher scale event, this would be the Mulch Army cards. Like if I'm going to a regional, or for sure if a YCS, if that does happen with me again, this would be the, in the side, this would be Fualos. And then in the main, I would have the Mulch Army Perulia, right? Because I think Perulia is actually better than it now from what I heard. But this was still good. I resolved this twice, and both times I was able to draw 3 and then get back some of the cards I didn't want. So the nice thing about this is that they play into it, right? And then you can just get rid of some cards, and you have you fix your hand, right? So you go into a board with a really good hand. So honestly, Phantasme was not bad at all. It's basically your cheap alternative. So for a lot of people watching this, if you don't have a lot of money to play the game right now, no problem. I got you, okay? This deck is outside. If you're just willing to put, if you're willing to pay, I don't even know how much. I got this for $50 a pop when it came out. I just ordered at the right time. But if you guys, I don't even know how much this is. It's probably went down because Ryzeal, I don't think it's great against Ryzeal. It probably went down a little bit, but highly recommend. You have to play this. This is the only card you got to spend money on. If you guys are going to be cheap over it, or if you live in Canada, just go knock on some doors and shovel some snow for people. If you are living in a warmer climate, go offer to cut some people's grass. You'll make that back in a day, okay? So don't complain that you don't have enough money to play that, all right? Anyways, let's go into 3 Dark Ruler. This card's excellent, of course. Yeah, I don't have much to say about Dark Ruler. Probably over-explaining a lot of cards that I really don't have to, but anyways. 2 Ghost Bell. This could be 3. Ghost Bell was really good for me. This actually, this really came in clutch in 2 games. Somehow I had it in my hand a fair amount of times when I set it in, but yeah, this card clutched me 2 games where it really stunned a player. It wasn't for defensive tactics. It was actually because it was to actually hold this for other plays when I had a bunch of hand traps in my hand. So yeah, Ghost Bell, I play this at 3 for sure. If you have 3, I have 3. I just didn't find the room for it. Going first, I have double tactics and a call by. This is more for defensive, but this can also be going second because tactics is really good going second as well. And then the call by is really nuts. You could main deck this, but I would rather have the hand traps to help protect me going second and first. So yeah. And if you guys want my opinion on the 14 hand traps, it was honestly perfect. In a 43 card list, I was seeing 2 very, very consistently, and it really separated my deck really well where I see my starters as well. So it honestly, 43 cards with 14 hand traps was the perfect ratio, right? Again, I don't think there's anything else I could cut, because the more I think about the 1 card Lamia combo, the more I'm just I probably shouldn't cut that. So yeah. Last one, DD Orthros. This is just for more back row heavy decks. That's pretty much it. I never actually had to side this in, but yeah. So this could have been a 3rd Ghost Spell or a 3rd Talent. So yeah, guys. So that is pretty well it for the deck list. I hope you guys like that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go over a couple combos that, so some updated combos, like the 2-card combo, and then I have an updated combo for you guys to have in time as well. That was always a thing, but I never really took a look into it. I don't think I ever showcased it, so I'll actually go into it to help you guys win in time because I'm not playing Dark, right? So yeah, so without further ado, let's just go into the first combo, which is the updated 2-card combo, and then we're also going to go into your most commonly played nib line, right? So we'll get into that right now. Okay, guys, so we're going to go over the 3-card combo here. Now, I'll go over the 3-card combo that plays around nib right now because we don't have Barons, so I'll kind of show you guys how I go about that because there's a couple ways you can go about it right now, but it is your only way to play around Nibiru. Then we're also going to go over the 2-card combo that I used to play around to play through time, right? So that's a combo I don't think I've ever showcased, so I'll go through that just so you guys know how to do that without playing Dark, as I'm not playing it. But this is also, I'll show you guys these lines of plays where I don't know if I've fully showcased these before, but It's really just to show you guys how to, the only real ways to play around Nib right now, right? So you can either open, you could have your gate in your hand, doesn't matter. It's always better if you have gate because it's an additional contract. It could be a mix of these, right? This could be gate, this could be gate, Necro Slime, as well, right? Because this is just searching out the, you'll see in a little bit, but let's just go, anyways, we'll just use it like this. Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead, normal summon, use the effect. I'm gonna go ahead and send Griffin here, right? Basically you need a mix, and then this is gonna activate, add the Swirl Slime. So basically it's a mix of all these cards, right? How you're gonna go about it. Again, unless you're playing the Fiendsmith engine, this is the only way you can play around Nibiru right now, so we're gonna kind of dive into it a little bit, because before it was Baron and then you could also do this line, but we're gonna show you guys how I go through it and some of the different line options you can go through. Gonna go ahead and use Swirl Slime, using the Necro Slime as well. Go into this. Necro Slime will fusion some of the Swirl Slime to summon the other copy of Genghis. Genghis triggers, summon this back. This will add the DD Headhunt, right? Again, you always want to prioritize, unless you're missing a piece to continue comboing, you always want to, or you already have this in hand. DD Griffin in this format should always prioritize this. This card is like extremely broken. So grab DD Headhunt. You're gonna, now is your 5th summon, right? So again, this is the only way you can play around Nib right now. Go into the Caesar. So at that, you're gonna go ahead and link to. You guys, like, if you get, DD's been around for a while, right? So a lot of people probably understand how this combo goes, but just kind of showcase how I'll go about it. So Gilgamesh will scale up. So 1 and then 2, right? Take 1,000. We're going to Pendulum Summon 2. If you, for some reason, if you're lucky enough to draw another DD card, then you're going to use this to ditch draw. Hopefully grab another hand trap, which you should if you have 14 cards that are non-engine in your deck. So this is in hand. We're going to go ahead and overlay these two. This is going to go... Oh, sorry. Wrong card. Caesar. Marksman. Marksman targeting itself. Right? To burn 1,000. Going to go Orthros effect to pop this. And then King Tell is going to use its effect. I'm going to go ahead, send the spell card to grab back your Orthros. And you're going to go ahead, use this. Summon, I'll usually put in a tap because Zeus is pretty common right now. I'd rather, again, Lightning Storm's probably not going to be as common. This is going to trigger Ragnarok to target special summon one of your monsters, and then since you took 1,000, you're going to special summon the Orthros, and you're going to go ahead and make the Siegfried, okay? So basically, and then you're going to set the Headhunt. So that's how you can go your 3-card. So that's basically like the 2-card combo that can play around Nibiru. Now, there's different ways you can go about it, right? So let's kind of rewind back into when we link summon this after summoning. So we'll go... So go back with this. We pendulum scaled these, right? We've already searched the Headhunt, so this will be in our hand still, and this would be here. So rewinding it back to this. So other ways we can go, because just having one contract makes your Machine X kind of weak, right? And you know, Machine X, depending on the deck, especially against like Ryziel and stuff, is like very, very good if you think about it. You can suck up their monsters. Now again, don't correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean that. I know that they activate, for what I know, they activate on field. I haven't looked into the deck much. I've seen it play. And Malice too, like you just suck them up. Like I feel like Machine X is going to be a good card going in the next format. So this deck can definitely stand chance as a road deck. Don't get me wrong. Anyways, so let's go into the, so we're going to pendulum summon these two. We're going to go ahead and overlay these two. I'm going to go to the Caesar, and then we're going to still go into Tell, right? So we're going to go effect of King Tell to burn, and now we're going to go ahead and we're going to link summon, okay? I'm going to go into the Gilgamesh. So we're going to go, not Gilgamesh, King Tell 1, Ragnarok 2, we're going to target special summon a monster back. We're going to special summon the Caesar back, and then we're going to go ahead and send a card. So for follow-up, I'm actually going to send, this is what I did a few times during the tournament. Instead of going for the spell and trap negate, I wanted a bit more on my end to do this. So we put out the Swirl Slime, okay? Then you got the Caesar, okay? So this way, we can now link this guy off. Or sorry, we can go Orthros effect to get rid of it, or you can link it off, doesn't really matter. If you want spell and trap removal, it's up to you, but I mean, at the end of the day, you want to keep follow-up for having an extra Gilgamesh in your extra deck. So we're going to go effective Orthros to now pop this. This is going to use the effect. It depends on what deck you're playing, right? Because it depends what you can really put out, but if you... Here's a license. So now, you can put out license. You can set the headhunt. And it depends on like what you see value in, right? Because the reason why this board's good, because Gilgamesh, although it's not a Machine X, you could put a Machine X. If you know you're playing against heavy like XYZ, like Ryziel, then go into Machine X because this will really stun them, right? I'm just kind of planning for next format. This could be a really good board against Ryziel, like for sure really good, because once they XYZ summon, they're kind of locked out. But even if you do this, then they're kind of locked out of, there's a lot of, you know, like Fiendsmith stuff like that's going on. So when I knew a lot of decks were reliant on summoning an XYZ or a Link, a lot of the time I would just end on this instead of the Machine X, and I would have this because I would have some decent follow-up here, right, where I could get rid of this on the next turn. But also having this in my graveyard makes it so next turn when I because this, honestly, these two paired with some hand traps, I usually go with this if I have an Impulse in hand already, because Impulse is strong enough to kind of pair with this. But on the follow-up, even if they get rid of some of this, I can just go Dark Conjure with a Gate to Search for a Kepler. Normal summon Kepler effect to bounce this back, and then I can go with the Swirl Slime. I did this twice during the tournament where this revived. I would tribute it off and then start rolling my plays over, right? So this is a really strong board that I would make sometimes. So I only did it once where I had this, but there's the other 2 times where I did this because I knew the deck was pretty reliant on doing XYZ summons. This was really strong too, right? But this is another way you can, if you decide to skip out going on the Siegfried, it's really good because they're kind of locked out of playing, and it depends on what's in your hand as well, right? Like if you have a good amount of hand traps, you're probably safe to just go Caesar, Headhunt, this lockout, and then having the Gilgamesh there as well. Because if they destroy the Gilgamesh, you can revive cards, right? But keeping this in the grave too is nice because on the follow-up, it gives you some pretty good recursion because you just search this, bounce this back, summon it, and roll your plays from there, right? So yeah, guys, so okay, so that's the combo portion of the 3-card combo. Let's go into the combo that does the time burn now. So I'll show you guys how to win in time right now. Let's do that. Okay, guys, so we're going to go through the standard 2-card combo. I'm going to just do it with Kepler because it's always better if you have the contract, right? So yeah, so let's go right into it. So normal, this is the 2-card combo to burn your opponent in time. So I used this, I went into time once, so it was with the Thunder Dragon player. This is how I won in time, right? So I don't think I've ever showcased this because I used to play D-Arc, right? So I used D-Arc to show how you could win in time, and in this situation, this was, I don't think I showcased this. So just in case you guys don't know, we'll do this. So effect search, this effect search, grab the other piece. Again, it could just be these 2 as well, it doesn't really matter. Effect special summon, right? You go ahead and link Gilgamesh, will use the effect. Gonna go ahead and you're gonna place, you could put, sorry, not Rage, my bad. You could put same thing as before, right? Ragnarok. So we're gonna take 1,000, right? Oh, sorry, you don't wanna, you gotta do this, sorry, 1 second. I'm on the wrong combo, LOL. So you put Rage in, right? So you're not going to take any damage here. Rage is in scale. You're going to go ahead and Pendulum Summon 2 cards. You're going to use the effect of Copernicus. You could technically Pendulum Summon 3, I guess, for the sake of it, just because we have a 0. But you know what? Maybe not. Let's just put this here. Effect of Copernicus will send a fusion. Here. And then, of course, if you have a card, you can ditch draw. And you go in. So currently, your life points are at 7,000, right? Scale. Or, sorry, overlay. Overlay. Effect, since you burned, you make your opponent burn 1,000, okay? You're going to go ahead and you're going to link summon 2. You're going to go ahead and use King Tel's effect. So it's 7,000 to 7,000. patent license. Just gonna put this back in. Okay. And then you're gonna go ahead and use the effect of Necroslam to fusion summon. You're gonna go ahead and summon Ragnarok effect. Target special summon the doesn't matter. Griffin, this effect, target special summon Caesar. Griffin can add whatever, honestly. You can add the headhunt, I guess, doesn't matter. And you're summoning this off Genghis. This you don't burn because you have Rage. You have Caesar out. You go into the King Tell. And then since you took effect damage this turn, you can go effect. So you detach one, right? Target itself. Your opponent now loses 1,000. It's 6,000 to 7,000. That's game. I don't think I ever showcased that combo, but because I usually wasn't playing Rage too much, but and when I was playing Rage, I was playing the Dark. Yeah, so this is exactly how you win in time, right? It's a 2-card combo, but you're just recycling the Tell, because Tell is not once per turn on any of its effects, right? So yeah, so that's the combo, guys. So now that we went through some of the newer lines, some of the updated stuff, and then again, that 3-card combo I showed where you can go into the field spell is going to be good into like decks like Ryziel and stuff now, right? Where they're more reliant on doing their XYZ summons. So yeah, so let's go into some of the new cards. We'll do a new card discussion here and where I think the deck's heading in the future and my personal thoughts on it, okay? Okay guys, so last portion of the video, we use my terrible cutout portions of the new Yu-Gi-Oh cards that we're getting. So basically we're getting 3, like there's a level 5 that literally does nothing unless there's like a rank 5 fiend or something I don't know about. It's not going to do anything. But again, I wouldn't count it fully out, but yeah, that doesn't seem relevant at this time. These are the 2 relevant cards. So basically what this does is that we're going to get this, I wouldn't doubt Supreme Darkness will get it. This is going to ditch one to special summon itself on summon and defense, I believe. On summon, it'll add a card with 0 attack. So it basically searches like Kepler or Copernicus, which is great. This successfully gets rid of some consistency issues with the deck. This card is also really good where if you control a DD card, you just special summon it. Then when it's summoned, you can make its level normal or special, you can make it a level 4. And also when sent to the grave or the face-up extra deck, it can recycle a DD card like the field spell does, right? So basically, where do I think this is going to put the deck moving forward? Not a whole lot. Like the problem is we do need a bit of a revamp in the extra deck. I do believe this opens up some more space and utility for playing the Fiendsmith engine because this is now an extender, and so is this technically is an extender as well. So if we ever get stopped on the on our what's it called engine, our DDD engine, like if they imperm Gilgamesh, then you can just kind of drop this and go into a moon and then just kind of go from there. It does take up space, so again, there's some testing that would need to be involved. But again, this basically raises the ceiling on consistency and helps eliminate certain cards. Like basically, like I mentioned before, these will now become Nightmare Thrones. Even then, like just because of this card adding consistency ceiling, we actually may not even need to play Throne. This could actually be potentially 3 more spaces for non-engine, depending. But the cards that you're going to eliminate are really going to be like these for sure. 1-for-1 definitely doesn't have to be in the deck after you play a card like this because this has to ditch anyway, so 1-for-1 can go. I don't see any use for Lamia at that point because this also makes Kepler, the 1-card combo, a lot stronger. So it gives you more access to 1-card combos. This card goes because this card basically replaces this, so you're eliminating a brick. However, you could still play this because the lockout effect, like I said, is still really strong, especially into something like Ryziel, right? And these 2 can obviously go. Now, this is another way to stop Nibiru, right? But like I said, it doesn't come up too often. It's rare I ever use this card to go into Nibiru. I'd rather just have it for the Pendulum Scales. But again, it's essentially a brick. This will be a brick more than anything. Getting rid of these 2 are definitely going to happen once these come out. That way we have more engine space. So technically, the general rule of thumb is you're probably going to play 3 of this and 1 of this. Now, at the same time, I could see it where you could play 3 of this because this is an extender, right? So let's say you get stopped. You get stopped on your Gilgamesh, you can just summon this and go into a closed moon and just go for a Fiendsmith engine, right? So playing this could be more than but again, the general consensus is you're probably going to play 3 of this because it's a searcher and 1 of this because it's an extender and you can search it, right? Now, again, I wouldn't be against playing 3 of this. I'd have to test it, right? But basically, let's say this becomes 4, right? So you'd have like 4 copies. At the bare minimum, you'd be playing it like this, where you would have 1, 2, 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you'd have 4 cards, right? And then you'd have 8 you could cut, right? So basically, you have 8 cards, so you have 4 spaces that are available, which this could then become the Fiendsmith engine. You could play a 43 card list. This would become the Fiendsmith engine, where this could now become a 43 card list with 14 hand traps, which definitely isn't bad at all. This Fiendsmith engine can maybe get cut down a little bit, where we could play the minimum, but I believe that you'd have to play like because there's some decks where you could just put like literally 1 card for the Fiendsmith engine in the main deck, but I believe this deck would need more because, again, we don't have the same access, utility access a lot of decks do. We're kind of a bit more restricted. However, it's a good fallback play to go on if we get stopped. So this gives us some, basically this engine is basically giving us 4 additional slots to free up our space. We could also play it pure, and then this could all of a sudden just be hand traps, right? Like this could be, we could play like 2 of these like Nightmare Thrones, and then we could just go to 16 hand traps, right? Or we could just play it like this, and we could play 18 hand traps, which is pretty good, right? 18 hand traps is definitely putting us in a decent position where we just play it pure, right? So it opens up a lot of opportunities for us, but at the same time, our problem still is that we need a different line of play. We do need some more support when it comes to the extra stuff. So hopefully Konami watches this and gives us some extra deck stuff, because if we do get extra deck support, we're definitely going into a tier 2 status. If it's obviously decent, a Link 1 or a Link 3 would be awesome. Even a new Fusion would be pretty cool. But yeah, for the time being, this also, given this a level 8, you can also play, you could play this in a Requiem, where you can have a Kali Yuga going into a Zeus as well, which is pretty awesome. So gives you better utility access going second as well, this card. So this card being probably the best card in the support, and then this card being second best, but it's also really good. It could end up being, I don't think it's going to be the best over this one, but this card is very good, where I could also see myself playing 3 of it, right? So I hope this helps, guys. Again, until we get, there's not much point going into these just yet, because we could get some more support moving forward, which I hope we do. But if not, this still, again, like I said, it could put us in a position where we could play 18 hand traps in a 43 card list, or we could play like the Fiendsmith engine and still have a reasonable amount of hand traps, because this now frees up more non-engine space in our deck, right? So hope this helps, guys. I know it's been a while since I posted a video, but yeah, I take this as a good one. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.